Wow, never a dull moment in crypto. It's truly crazy what's happened today. I mean, there's been a lot of bad, a lot of good, and some pretty interesting decisions that lie ahead of us as far as the Ethereum kind of like forking situation, all that type of stuff is concerned. So we're going to talk about that. First off, we're going to talk about what happened. We're going to talk about the whole ByBit situation. How did this unfold? A lot of that type of stuff. We're going to go into and then continue along into how can you keep yourself safe? Because obviously, if one of the the top exchanges in the world was able to get hacked and they got hacked, it did not, at least from what we're seeing so far, it does not seem like they were being negligent. So if somebody like that can get hacked, a lot of you may be like, oh well, what do I even do? How do I keep myself protected? A lot of that type of stuff. So we're going to talk a lot about that, of the best way that you can keep yourself protected. And then also going forward, what this whole kind of Ethereum forking situation, all that type of stuff, how that could look. So we'll think about that. We'll take a look. We'll see, we'll go through all this type of stuff. And so, but starting out, I want to take a look at the crypto bubbles, just because we can see obviously a pretty red day today. This is mostly on the back of that hacking situation. We can see a couple greens here and there, but primarily it's a back to a red day and back to a red week. We can see a couple of those greens here and there, but yeah, the majority is definitely red on the week. So a lot of this is because of this ByBit hacking situation. If we do look at the chart, we can see exactly this happening on most of the charts. We could see Bitcoin, something relatively unrelated, right? I mean, this was an Ethereum hack, right? So this should theoretically be about Ethereum, but of course it's not. We could see a pretty big red candle today for Bitcoin. We could see this for Solana, Ethereum, basically all the alts. Most everything that was kind of looked a little similar. Frankly, for such a large hack happening, not too big of a move, which is pretty impressive. So we've seen that, obviously we saw that kind of wick down. We're starting to bounce back up a little bit. The market's, I think, recovering a little bit quicker and a little bit stronger, just because I think a lot of the damage was limited here. A lot of people have stepped in to help protect ByBit and help keep ByBit afloat due to this kind of unfortunate circumstance. So there's been a lot of people stepping in. I think that's kind of limited some of the fear spreading through the crypto ecosystem. We can see RSI sitting at about neutral here. We are also sitting, we kind of bumped up against the top of the Bollinger Band here. We then came almost right down to the bottom, and then now we're kind of sitting close to the middle again. So still very, very tightly squeezed in here from the Bitcoin's perspective. Since we did see a little bit of this pullback today, you may see that, on this trade, I did actually double down on my Bitcoin position and actually raise it up to 4x leverage, just because what we're seeing right here, I think looks pretty good. Well, so a lot of these actually came back down and we're looking red today. And so, but, most of them have bounced back. So you can see our overall P&L is up. I did actually open a SUI position as well, a SUI long position. This was one of those that I was kind of regretting a little bit when we kind of saw this bounce. I probably should have got into SUI. If we come in here, we can just take a quick look, and then we can kind of move back to the ByBit situation. But we saw this little bit of a bounce, or this little bit of a dip as we kind of hit on this like level of support. Again, we came back into this liquidity zone. A lot of that type of stuff. I should have probably opened a position there, but we didn't. So we saw that kind of run to the upside, and when we started to see a little bit of this pullback, I did open a position here, because I do think that SUI is looking in a moderately decent spot. This is smaller. This was a smaller position kind of compared to the rest, just because it's not like a really, really great buy position. This may even be a little bit of a greedy buy, but we'll see. Overall, we're kind of taking some of the good fortune that we've had on some of these other ones, and kind of taking a little bit of a more risk on the SUI play here. So if you are interested in following along, doing all that type of stuff, trading, learning, a lot of that type of stuff, like I said, I do have that link in the description below to BTCC. I also do have a link to WEEX and Phemex if you are interested in any of those. Also for BTCC though, they do have that 10% bonus on first time deposits, which is a really, really good deal. Also extra bonuses of up to $10,055 per user, and no VPN or KYC necessary. So a lot of really nice perks and benefits there if you are looking for a new place to trade. Also WEEX and Phemex doing pretty decently as well. You can see I do have the Phemex trading situation, or trading like dashboard. I don't know why I'm blanking. The trading dashboard here. I do have a couple of trades open here as well. You can see these mostly coming back to center. Not really a whole lot going, just because we're kind of right back in kind of the same level of consolidation that we were kind of before. So anyway, moving on, I want to go and kind of focus on the ByBit situation, what happened, how, what all that type of stuff. So you can see a couple of posts from ByBit here. If you are interested in kind of tracking this whole thing kind of from start to finish, just go to the ByBit official. They've been very, very transparent in terms of, kind of what happened, how it happened, a lot of that type of stuff. So you can see, I mean, there's a whole bunch of stuff going on. And then also if you're wanting to look a little bit, there's also Ben. Ben is the CEO of ByBit, so he's been also very, kind of forthcoming as well of a lot of this type of stuff, of what's been going on, a lot of that type of stuff. So, but basically, I'll kind of give you the TLDR of what's happened so far. And so what's happened so far is this morning, there was about a $1.5 billion moved from ByBit's cold storage wallet to, I believe it was to their hot storage wallet. And then from that hot storage wallet, it was moved to an unknown address. And so when it was moved to that unknown address, obviously people were very concerned. The Safe app essentially kind of disabled all of its functions because it was unclear if this was an issue with the Safe platform or if it was an issue with social engineering, things like that. Turns out that it was a social engineering incident. Basically the hackers, it almost sounds like they hot swapped a UI on top of kind of the UI that they were supposed to be using. And because of that, they kind of social engineered it. And it sounded like they, right before they sent the money, they swapped in the new wallet and some of that type of stuff. So pretty interesting situation there. It seems like there was a reasonable amount of diligence being conducted by the ByBit team, but maybe not the maximum amount of diligence, which is how this kind of happened. So a pretty unfortunate situation, just kind of overall. But what we could see is obviously there's $1.5 billion roughly of ETH that was stolen. Turns out that it was stolen by North Korean hackers. So interesting fact for you is that North Korea is now the single largest holder of Ethereum thanks to their very large and prolific hacking efforts. So pretty interesting there. Because of that, obviously, there was kind of as things normally do, there's some contagion happening. People were very, very concerned that, ByBit did not have the funds to collateralize this type of loss. Turns out that, or at least allegedly that they did and do. Binance and some of these other exchanges have kind of pitched in to kind of help send money to ByBit to work out kind of some short-term liquidity solutions to kind of keep a run on the bank type of situation from happening while ByBit kind of works out some of their, because allegedly they have enough in their treasury to collateralize the loss while still kind of collateralizing all deposits in there for users. So that's kind of where they're at currently. We'll have to see, kind of how that goes. Like I said, they've had a lot of short-term liquidity providers come in, step in and help out people like Binance and other various exchanges. This is an interesting situation because a lot of it could have been in the best interest of some of these other exchanges to maybe see ByBit collapse, right? But a lot of these so-called competitors banded together and really kind of helped out in a little bit of a tricky situation, which I do think is cool to see. The crypto community is becoming more organized and banded together, which is good. This could have been a potential FTX moment, which would have been this would have put a damper on our aspirations for an alt season. So it could have already. We'll have to see. But so far, the fallout from this seems to be somewhat limited overall. And so anyway, now we're going to be moving into the next piece, which is how do you keep yourself safe? And you must be thinking, if somebody was hot swapping in this UI and all the, social engineering, all this other crazy type of stuff, you may be like, well, man, if it happens to these guys, how am I ever going to stay safe? And ultimately, you have to keep a couple of things in mind. The first thing is that this company had $1.5 billion, well, more than that. I mean, they have multiple cold storage wallets. I mean, they've got tens of billions of dollars held in various places. And so, of course, this could have been a very difficult situation, but they had kind of security measures in place to limit the losses to an extent, right? I mean, obviously it was still a very, very heavy loss, but it was limited to an extent. And so, but what you have to remember is, most of us are not dealing in the billions, right? Most of us are probably anywhere, less than 10 grand to, maybe a couple $1 million maximum. And that's going to be very, very rare, right? I mean, I would say that most of us are probably between, probably 5 to 100 grand if I had to just take a rough guess. And so with that, it's, people aren't going to be doing all these elaborate, ridiculous, extravagant social engineering techniques to get, 6 or 7 grand. This is the juice it becomes not worth the squeeze at that point in time, right? And so the important thing to note is that, in my opinion, if you have something that you are looking to be holding for a long period of time, you should just keep it in a cold storage wallet. Now, of course, these funds were hacked from a cold storage wallet, and so cold storage wallets are not infallible, but it protects you so much more from some of these other things. Today, also another prolific YouTuber, House of Crypto, was hacked. Super devastating. Obviously, I feel very much for him as well. Very much a terrible situation. But that's also something that, that could potentially, at least I'm still trying to catch up on his situation, how that has been working. But it seems like, maybe some of that could have been prevented with cold storage wallets. And so cold storage wallets are very, very important. This is something that, I've started to reassess, kind of my security situation a little bit. Most of the stuff I do keep in multi-sigs or cold storage wallets, but ideally, multi-sigs are nice because then it's like, you literally need multiple people to move the funds, and you can't fall victim to, kind of a single point of failure type of situation. So multi-sigs can be nice for that reason. And then also, cold storage wallets are good too, because it's your keys are kept offline. So, you getting hacked, it becomes much, much more difficult. So I would say, if you have a meaningful amount of money that you are looking to store long-term, you should be keeping them in cold storage. It's a lot safer place to be. If you guys have any questions, please leave them in the comment section. Maybe I can have a little bit more of a detailed video of exactly, how to set up a cold storage wallet, why they're important, a lot of that type of stuff. I'd be happy to do that if that's something that there's a lot of people who would be interested in. Just let me know. Like I said, comment section below, check it out, and just let me know your thoughts. I'd love to hear it. Now, the third piece I want to go on to is, what is this whole Ethereum situation that's going on? And if for those of you who are not up to speed with what we've seen so far, let me see if I can find this on X real quick as I'm kind of talking through. But essentially, what has been going on with this Ethereum situation is there's been essentially some conversation going on of if the Ethereum chain should be rolled back to kind of negate this ByBit hack. So you can see Ethereum is going to vote on whether to fork the chain to undo the ByBit hack. They made a case for Bitcoin themselves. You can see here Vitalik announced that the ETH Foundation is going to vote tonight on a chain rollback or deleting the hackers' ETH supply from circulation. Let's make communism great again. That is what is interesting here, is because to me, it seems like ETH is kind of between a rock and a hard place, because essentially Vitalik has announced that the ETH Foundation is going to vote on it, which means kind of by kind of indirect admission, he is saying that Ethereum has the ability to do things like this. Now, if they have the ability to do things like this means that they can do it, right? Now, if they can do it and choose not to, then they may face punishments from global regulators. And if they can do it and then choose to, then a lot of the people who are really, really hardcore into decentralization and DeFi and, libertarian ideals and all this type of stuff, they're going to be pissed off, and it's probably going to kill the Ethereum chain, or at least get about as close as you could within the crypto space, because it's, that's not what people signed up for. Because Again, we have to keep in mind that if they can do it to somebody, they can do it to anybody, right? And if they can do it to anybody, that means they can do it to you. And that's exactly what people are moving away from, because that's what we've been seeing in banks so far. If people can pick and choose winners and losers, why don't we just stick with the banking system we have? I don't know why we would move to a different system that's the same outcome. Let's just, let's just cut out the middleman and stay where we are already, right? And so I think that's kind of a lot of the debate going on. You can see there's a lot of people here, that are very, very opinionated in terms of kind of what could be going on with this Ethereum hack. A lot of that type of stuff. I've seen a lot of various different opinions on the timeline regarding this type of thing. And so I'd be interested also to hear kind of what your thoughts are. Do you think, that the Ethereum hack should be rolled back? Do you think it shouldn't be? What are your thoughts here? I would say from a pure, kind of idealism of what we could do is it would be nice to roll it back, But then that's one of the things where it sets the precedent, where now people know that it can happen, right? And if people know that it can happen, even if by supermajority, that means it's not permissionless, that means it's not trustless, that means it's not decentralized. None of that actually applies anymore, because now we're playing in an ecosystem where there are rules you do have to play by, and if you don't obey them, then there's just this magical band hammer in the sky that can come out and smack you whenever it wants to. Now it may not, who knows, but that right there is problem enough, right? I mean, this is a lot of like what people want to leave behind with the banking system. And so if we just kind of go from one to the other, very much not ideal. And I think there will be a huge play coming out from basically every other coin that's not Ethereum saying, hey, well, we would never do that. And I think everybody knows with Bitcoin that like you can't do that, right? And I think part of the theory here, or part of what some people are so opinionated about in crypto is like, if we're sticking with the theory that Bitcoin is digital gold. If you go to somebody's house and rob all of their gold bars, it's not like you can just roll that back, right? I mean, yes, maybe if they get caught and maybe they can pull it back and do all that type of stuff, then yeah, sure, right? But I mean, if they break into your house, steal all your gold, and then run away to North Korea like these hackers did, it's gone, right? I mean, that's just how it is. And so that's part of, for better or for worse, that's part of just life, and so that's one thing that I think a lot of the crypto people are kind of taking the stance of, and like, oh, this sucks, and yes, I think all of us would be okay, or we like the idea at face value of potentially rolling this back. But then the second you take a second thought, it's like, okay, no, that's actually a horrible idea for all of these kind of future implications of what this could mean, because obviously that means that the chain can be controlled and a lot of that type of stuff. So that's kind of where I stand on it. I'm as difficult as it is, and as much as I hate to see it, it's I don't want to see it rolled back, because that means that it can be rolled back for anything that they want to roll it back for, and I don't like the thought of that. So anyway, I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts below. This is one of those things that I think are going to draw a lot of different opinions for a lot of different reasons, and I'd love to hear all of them. Just drop them in the comment section below. Like I said, I do try to read and respond to all of those, so if you have anything you want me to see, that'd be a really great place to do it, because like I said, I'm always in the comment section. Lately I've been a little bit slower than normal, but I do still try to kind of read and respond to everything. So and this is also this is just really interesting conversation. It's kind of a difficult question, right? Because you want the easy answer, but sometimes the difficult answer, in my opinion, is kind of also the right answer. So interesting type of thing. So anyway, let me know. Hopefully you found the information in this video useful. If you'd like also to hear a little bit more about the kind of the hardware wallet, how to get that set up, a little bit more of a tutorial there, let's do that as well. I'd be interested in getting that set up too. So anyway, thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next video.